Hey guys, in this video we're talking about things that I've done to benefit my family. Things change in big ways when you start building a family, and this is kind of just a brain dump that has benefited us over the past few years. So I've been in finance and investing over the last decade, have a family of 2 kids now, who are surprisingly still sleeping. I also own a home, which is getting increasingly more difficult over time. So let's get into it. This is a new filming spot, so we'll see how this works. First big one is investing early. I was lucky enough to get into investing in my early 20s. So that's when you have time on your side, builds up with compound interest. Then eventually when you have those assets that grow over time, later on down the road, especially when you have a family, you have options. If you want to have that grown money to put toward maybe a house or to pay off some debts, which is really the next thing to talk about, is paying off debt. Especially for us, when I got married, my wife had student loan debt, so we decided, because that just eats into our cash flow, paying off those debts helps tremendously monthly. A lot of that was possible because I was able to invest so early that it grows into something, so then you can use it when you're older. Another thing that has helped us a lot is, for me, I don't have a car loan. My wife still does. We're working on that. But for me, what's the average car loan these days? $500-$700, if not more. Not having to pay for that every single month is big. That's one of the biggest expenses in people's lives, aside from housing. My perspective of car leases, it kind of just locks you into a car payment for the rest of your life. I don't care for them. There might be some tax benefits if you're like a business owner, but I feel for most people, you should probably pay off your car. Easier said than done. Over time, you got to chip that down. But you don't require a new car every few years. Next thing is opening a 529 plan for our kids. So I opened one up for our son, also for our daughter. They have time on their side, so you need to utilize compound interest. I've heard enough from people like, oh, a little early to save for college, don't you think? No. That's exactly how a poor mindset is. You utilize compound interest over time, and that's exactly how you grow wealth. You need time on your side, and that's why opening a 529 as soon as possible will benefit them. So getting into investments, and I also diversified, got into real hard assets, so like gold, silver, aside from stocks. Eventually got into real estate, building a smaller Bitcoin holding on the side as well. But I feel like being diverse helps, because if something is down, or like if stocks are down, you're not really doing too well there, other things kind of prop you up. For me, having a family, I like the idea of stability. You want a good foundation across everything, which next thing we could talk about is retirement. So I do have a Roth IRA set up. I think everyone really should. I am able to max that out, but if you're not able to max that out, and this year for 2026, that max is, I believe, $7,500 a year. But if you're able to put just $100 into it, that's great. Just grow exponentially over time. Could kind of be used as an emergency fund. You could technically withdraw principal from that, but obviously try to keep, that compound interest growing over time. Aside from Roth IRA, also have 401k from employer. If they match, for me, I like to just hit that match and then nothing over that, but that's free money. Try to minimize your expenses and fees as well. Look at the expense ratios of your funds. Try to keep them low. A lot of Vanguard funds are usually on the low side. And I learned sticking with indexes, whether it's S&P 500, NASDAQ, total stock market, and whatever dividends that you get, just reinvest back into it. Aside from retirement, also recently got life insurance. Again, I want to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. You want to make sure, at least for me, I want to make sure that my family is secure no matter what. If I'm no longer here, that they're taken care of. So the life insurance would cover like the house, the debts, so they could still live their lives. For me personally, I just got a term. I think whole life insurance is just expensive, has fees in there. Then just like invest on the side. A way that I calculated of how much I needed is just look at the debts that you have. Make sure you want to pay off all of those, and then whatever's left, I want to make sure that they could live off of, so kind of use like a 4% interest rate if they're able to get that per year, and if they're able to live off of it, that's what the plan is. Next thing is good credit score. The problem with credit scores is you don't really need it until you do. And when you do, it's very important. So like for right now, I just checked my FICO score. It's at 848, which is crazy. But when you go for loans, especially like a mortgage, like a car, you get the better rates. Or if you want to open up a credit card, there is no issue there. You just get it. Obviously, pay off the balance. I've never paid interest on a credit card. But it's one of those silent things that doesn't really affect you day to day, but it is important to have. When you need it, you feel good that you actually have a good score. The lower the score, you're going to pay higher interest rates. You might not even get approved for certain loans that you want. Next, we're talking about an emergency fund. Again, it has that stability and foundation in case something happens, you're okay. Especially if you have a family, especially if you have a house. Most people don't have $1,000, so if some big expense comes up, they could barely afford it. I like to have a few months just in case, so if something happens, you could be like, don't worry, we're good. Next, I think an under-talked about aspect of benefiting your family is getting healthier. I feel like an under-talked about aspect of people's lives is their health. It's important for your family if you're healthy. You can not only just keep up with them, but it's also less expensive. If you're not healthy, you got to deal with medication, you got to deal with doctor's visits, you got to deal with hospitals. In my 20s, it really wasn't an aspect. I was kind of just focused on growing wealth. But now that I have a family, I'm starting to realize that health is more important than you originally thought. We're in the great poisoning of America. You don't know what's in our foods. Less ingredients, the better. Luckily, me and my wife are able to make a lot of the stuff on our own. Cook at home so you know what's actually in the food. You'd be surprised what they're able to sell. The constant recalls that are out there, the constant lawsuits, it's just disgusting. And it's affecting our health. Career advancement is also very important. This is one of those things that takes time. So you have to gain experience and then use that experience to move and grow higher. Studies have been shown that if you're in something that you're actually interested in or enjoy, that you'll actually grow or go further with it. So just have the long term in mind. And at the same time, growing side hustles. I've been selling on eBay for a handful of years now, so that helps grow some cash on the side. A lot of people can't support themselves just on one income, so a lot more people are getting into side jobs, side businesses, side hustles. Another big aspect is moving out of your hometown. I know that largely benefited us moving away from New York to North Carolina. That was obviously much cheaper down here. But what that does is, if you get out of your hometown, it starts opening your eyes. You start realizing like what you were used to, and now just the world is bigger. And I just think like if you're going to struggle in a location for your family, it's probably not the best idea. It's kind of survival that you move to a place that can benefit your family better. Next, I want to talk about being frugal. I'd say I am fairly frugal, but not cheap. But I don't really like the word frugal. It's that I'm just content. I don't always have to be buying things. I'm content with what I have. I'm content with where I am. I'm content with my family. Now, being frugal is an aspect of it, and it is important that you shouldn't be spending everything. But you also shouldn't be cheap. I used to be very cheap, meaning like I tried to save every single penny possible. But that's not always efficient. What I see a lot of people do is they step over dollars to pick up pennies. All you really have to do is focus on the main expenses in your life. Like, look at your housing costs. That's a big one. Look at your vehicle cost. That's a big one. Look at your debts. And just like those three aspects are the largest things. Like if someone's just trying to save a couple bucks, is that really going to make a dent in your long-term life? Now, I understand little things do add up, especially if they're consistent. But I think focusing on the bigger aspects and the larger priorities in your life, that will benefit you more. And last but not least, say budget with your spouse. When I sat down with my wife, so we know what's coming in, we know what's going out, we know our cash flow. We ensure that we save monthly, we invest monthly, like Warren Buffett has said. Don't save what's left over from spending. You should spend what's left over from saving. I feel like so many people don't have budgets with their spouse, so they're just not on the same page. Once you get on the same page, your life will benefit greatly. So those are just some aspects that should hopefully benefit you and your family. So I'm Nick, and I hope you consider subscribing. Videos we're getting into is talking about helping young families navigate real life and inflation through practical money guidance in a broken system. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.